Welcome to the Crimson Engine. Canon C400 launch day. First new true cinema camera in 5 years. A ton to talk about. Let's get into it. So Canon officially announced the C400 EOS cinema camera yesterday. It is a RF mount with a full frame on a C500, C300 type body, though a little bit smaller, a little bit more refined, for $8,000. This is $2,000 less than the C300 Mark III when it launched. It is half the price of the C500 Mark II when it launched. And that's in 2019 dollars. So adjusting for inflation, the C500 Mark II would be almost $20,000. Triple base ISO to get that super sensitive low light capability. First Canon cinema camera to offer up to 120p on a full frame, which is a really big deal if you're shoot a lot of slow motion, either sports or car or whatever that is. Variable internal RAW. You have 3 different flavors of RAW, 2 XFAVC, and I believe 2 HVAC. I think Canon has realized that they're very popular in the both documentary market and in the hybrid doc, like doc style drama. I think Succession, where you're shooting a drama in multiple cameras. We also get a USB-C open format touchscreen. So potentially third parties like Small HD or Portkeys can make a big, 5 and 7 inch monitors that have the touchscreen capability to change the settings of the camera. That's never been possible before. A couple of other really great upgrades are the ability to both control, start, stop, and monitor the camera via Wi-Fi with an app. You can also has another app that lets you control multiple versions of this camera if you're using an iPad, say for live mixing. It also seems like it's going to have a new version of camera to cloud. So you can use Wi-Fi to send proxies into the cloud so the editor can start working on the cut remotely while you're shooting before you've even downloaded the cards. These are things that no one's really previewed. The Canon is just saying that they're there, so I want to wait until I actually see them working to get excited. But lots of cool new functionality. It really does seem like an upgrade. It seems like it's going to give you the super low light sensitivity of the FX6, but with cleaner blacks, but then also give you a middle ground, a 3200, where you're maybe just shooting at night. You're not shooting completely in the dark, but you do want to clean up the blacks, but you don't want all the noise of a 12,000 ISO. Who is this camera for? Well, if you have a C70 and sometimes get frustrated that it's a little small, a little pokey for rigging out in a big way, a little bit difficult to power, and you would like full frame RF mount, then for $3,000 more than your C70 at $5,000, you get all of those pro features. Better ergonomics, better power solutions. If you have the C300 Mark III, this definitely might be worth the upgrade or cross-grade, I guess. Maybe you lose a little bit dynamic range going from the DGO sensor, but you are getting full frame, you are getting RF. And the real killer app for RF is the 24 to 105 f2.8. You combine this with the punch-in on the sensor because it's a 6K sensor going down to 35mm, still gives you a native 4K frame. So you're getting the 24 to 105, essentially makes it a 24 to 150, all at 2.8, all in potentially 4K RAW. That is, the documentary shooter's dream. It's like a real one lens solution. There's also improvements with autofocus and improvements with some other things. The big question for me is, I have a C500 Mark II. Would I downgrade to the C400? Probably not. Most of the things are nice to have, but I can still use my EF and PL mount lenses as a non-documentary shooter. I don't really want to give up the image quality and the dynamic range of the C500 Mark II for these small improvements of the C400. That will probably come on the C600, if that ever comes out. So it's been a long time. Is the technology that Canon have put into this camera worth the wait? It really depends on what you're using it for. There wasn't really anything big that Canon could have put into this camera without making huge trade-offs. It would have been interesting to see some super high dynamic range like the Alexa 35, but that comes at a huge cost in processing, losing full frame, and an increase in voltage where you need a lot more power because you're essentially using two cameras in one to get the dynamic range. That all means a huge increase in price. The Alexa 35 is like $70,000. Canon have tried going high with the C700 FF, and that didn't really work for them. A direction that Blackmagic is going is into medium format with their new Ursa Cinema cameras, though that's just been announced. No one's actually seen one. That was unlikely to happen because Canon don't make medium format lenses. I personally would have liked to see 32-bit float audio, but I don't actually know of any camera system that has that. I think the camera itself has a lot of incremental improvements, but the kind of thunderbolt of this announcement is the price for a full frame, fully featured cinema camera coming, $2,000 in under what the C300 Mark III came in a couple of years ago at Super 35mm is pretty amazing. I will absolutely get my hands on one of these and create a masterclass for it. On Canon Masterclass, I have detailed camera guides that let you get up to speed with your Canon cinema camera and create great footage in half the time. It's very typical of Canon's camera announcements to have something that doesn't seem that spectacular, but then have it do really, really well in the market. Canon is very good at creating the camera that people will buy and rent rather than the one that gets all the press. If you're a big budget documentary team and you're looking to shoot a couple of weeks somewhere, I'm almost certain that you would rent 4 of these C400s rather than a single Sony Burano. You can check them out on Canon Masterclass. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time.